And I appreciate individuals sharing this feedback. The first announcement is that when you vote, there's one seat. You will vote for one person for the mayor, and you will vote for 3 individuals for the city council member. So you saw 6 candidates. You will choose 3 of them when you actually vote. That's the first announcement. The second announcement is many of you may have seen or observed some city council members using their yellow card. Each city council member or each member here was given a yellow card, and they can use that yellow card to elaborate on a particular question that we had designated. If they chose not to elaborate or use their yellow card, then they can use that time towards their closing statement. That's why some individuals had 2 minutes in closing, and those that actually used their yellow cards, they had 1 minute in their closing statement. So we hope that that clarifies for everybody. The cool thing is that for the mayor questions, there will be no yellow cards. So everybody will have equal time and have equal time in their closing statements. So they will answer all questions. Thank you very much, and we appreciate the feedback.
Also, if we can keep down the chatter just a little bit so everyone can hear the answers from the candidates. Let's get started. Rita and Anil.
Okay, we will start with the opening statements. This will be 1.5 minutes, and 1.5 minutes you will have, and we'll start with Mayor Fury.
Thank you. Folks, it's truly been an honor to serve as your mayor for the last 4 years, and I look forward to serving you in my next term. I promise to campaign addressing the issues, noting my accomplishments, and projecting my vision. Terry and I purchased our home in North Torrance more than 30 years ago, and we're not going anywhere. This is our city, this is our neighborhood. I'm most proud that in my first term as mayor, we were able to get a lot of things done. Way too much to mention right now, but you can refer to my campaign material in the back for a pretty lengthy list. Noteworthy, everything we accomplished was on the heels of Toyota announcing just months before I was elected that they were leaving Torrance, and the refinery explosion that occurred 7 months after I was elected. Both of these issues commanded a tremendous amount of time, and they still do. But I'm up for those challenges and any other we may face. But to address those issues, we need leadership, not rhetoric, negativity, or empty promises. I've demonstrated that leadership. Leadership skills I learned while serving in the Army, serving as a police officer, serving as a child abuse prosecutor, serving for 8 years as the president of this organization, serving as a Torrance City Council member for 6 years, and serving as your mayor for 4 years. Being the mayor of a diverse, full-service, balanced city like Torrance requires a tremendous commitment of time, energy, creativity, and professional expertise. I've enjoyed the challenge and look forward to all we may face in the next 4 years in keeping Torrance moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, Mr. Brewer.
Thank you. I grew up in Torrance, including 22 years living in North Torrance. I went to Hamilton Elementary School, and I graduated right here at North High. When the San Diego Freeway was proposed, my mom joined a committee to stop it because she felt it would cut North Torrance off from the rest of the city. And I think that feeling still exists today. I know my mom would feel how she would feel if she heard about a proposed sign that was going to be built by the San Diego Freeway on Crenshaw and 182nd Street. It's brighter and taller than the Lawndale sign, and it's across the street from homes on 182nd Street. You might hear tonight that campaign contributions won't affect the council vote, but we saw how $40,000 in illegal campaign contributions got McCormick Ambulance their contract and the mayor a $35,000 fine from the FPPC. That case was referred to the California Attorney General, who declined to prosecute it because the statute of limitations had expired. This is an example of what I feel is poor judgment and/or influences potentially harmful to our city. Under my leadership, Torrance will not be for sale to special interests. This is my pledge to you. My decisions will be transparent and based on facts, not on political contributions. I will treat all residents and council members with respect and dignity, regardless of whether our views align.
Thank you. Mr. Riggs.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here tonight. The question is, what kind of city do we have now, and what kind of future will we build together? A great city such as Torrance should not conceal its flaws, but rather face and correct them. I have had real-life leadership experiences, the corporate, public, and private sectors. With my knowledge in business and unique resume, I am prepared to bring positive change to our communities. I am a leader, and I am not a career politician. I am committed to my core values of God, family, hard work, and integrity. As mayor, I will bring back balance to this city. As a small business owner and a public servant, I have devoted my time to the community for over 40 years. As a high school and college basketball coach, I have mentored over 700 athletes. My firm commitment to the community and devotion is based on my 4 pillars: leadership, accountability, transparency, and most of all, trust. I've donated my time to a plethora of local causes, including my role as Executive Vice President of El Camino College's Scholarship Foundation Board, which we donate over $800,000 a year in scholarships. I'm committed to public safety, a business-friendly platform, city trust, transparency, and leadership with a team attitude. Government works when it's accountable to its citizens. I ask for your confidence and vote so we can deliver change to this city.
Thank you. Our first question: what is your short-term, 5 years for example, and long-term, 10+ years, vision for Torrance? And how do you plan to achieve it? And we'll start with Mr. Brewer.
You know, there are so many things that we have to look at in the city, and we're very fortunate that we're such a vibrant city. I think one of the things that we've heard a lot about tonight is bringing in new businesses and bringing in residents to help staff those businesses. So I think it's critical that we looked at the general plan first. The last time we looked at the general plan was in 2009. And that's where we lay out the plan for what we want in the city. That's where we look at property that may not be, still used as it was before, and maybe rezone it for something different. We could put maybe residential there, or even look at putting some manufacturing there as well. So I think the general plan is the first thing we look at, and then we need to look at our budget, because right now the revenue is flat, and we need to figure out what we're going to do about pension issues and other expenses that keep mounting in the city.
Thank you. Mr. Riggs.
Thank you. You know, with the owner of 2 millennials, 126 and 127, I see the future for the South Bay here. And you know, my kids aren't able to move out right now because they are having issues with affordable housing. But also we're having issues with employment here. And I recall when my grandmother was working at McDonnell Douglas and we had some issues of aerospace. So I'd like to bring back, I have a friend that owns a business right here, and I helped him get it, the property. He's got 102 employees there, and he's got a software business. So I'd like to bring Silicon Beach this way and work on software.coms, and I really would like to have more senior housing. Our seniors we're continue to grow older, so.
Thank you. Mayor Fury.
I take short-term first. Short-term, we have to bring businesses to the city of Torrance, and I've been actively doing that for 4 years. Now that we have the Toyota site vacant, bye-bye Toyota, you finally left. But that leaves 110 acres to fill with high-tech industry. And that's what Sarah's Regis, the developer who purchased that, is looking to do. I traveled to Israel to meet with a number of those high-tech industries that are interested in locating in California. And we tried to sell that place to do it. Housing is an important issue. We have to address the housing for our millennials. And there's methods we can do it by redoing housing that we have now. We have houses that are really tired, apartments on Crenshaw Boulevard and Artesia Boulevard that are ripe for rezoning, changing the density on that, putting parking in there, making nice houses. And we have to look at housing perhaps at the rodeo.
Thank you very much. Okay, question number 2. We have a Class 1 fire department. However, costs are rising with respect to benefits and pensions, which may also cause a contraction in organization. Do you feel our safety force is staffed adequately? If not, how would you ensure that Torrance maintains and retains an adequate safety force while meeting its fiscal obligations? And we're going to start with Mayor Fury.
Yeah, they're adequately staffed right now. Could we use more firefighters? I would have to defer to the fire chief for that. But right now we have constant staffing. We have the same number of firefighters on the street every night. And the reason we're class 1 is because our entire city fits the scale. We have adequate water pressure, we have adequate infrastructure, we have adequate fire hydrants to stay at class 1. And class 1 is everybody's benefit. It means our fire insurance is cheaper than other cities because we have a class 1 fire department. The pension issue, we have addressed that ad nauseum. First of all, there was TEPRA, which changed the entire scheme for safety officers and regular employees for the amount of contribution and how long they have to stay on the job before they can retire. We took almost $10 million and prepaid our pension obligations. We put together a 115 trust fund where we invested $5 million. And these are the ways that we are addressing those issues.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brewer?
Thank you. I think as far as staffing goes, it's not the city council's job to second guess the chiefs of police department and fire department. They're the ones that make a recommendation to us, and I've always supported the police and fire departments. We went through some tough times in 2006 and 7 and 8 when I got on the city council before. And one of the things we did then was we extended the life of the vehicles. We have a fund where we put money aside every year to pay for our vehicles in the city fleet. And then when it comes time to purchase those, we buy them with cash. I think if we were to look at, maybe having some savings, we could maybe extend the life of some of our vehicles a couple more years, be more critical about the fire department staff or fire equipment that we're looking at, and maybe extend it another year or two as well. That's one way to save money. But I think the other thing that we really have to look at is the pension keeps taking a bigger and bigger part of our budget. $10 million on a $400 million deficit is not enough.
Thank you very much. Mr. Riggs?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to repeat that because I don't want to give the politically correct answer right now. I think I know where you're going with this, but please repeat that.
Okay, we have a class 1 fire department. However, costs are rising with respect to benefits and pensions, which may also cause a contraction in organization. Do you feel our safety force is staffed adequately? If not, how would you ensure that Torrance maintains and retains an adequate safety force while meeting its fiscal obligations?
Yeah, the answer is no. Absolutely no. I've got 10 firemen friends. We started out at El Camino College. They went to Glendale, Torrance. One just retired at Torrance. I've followed his career for over 23 years from Gardena to here. No, they are not properly staffed. But is it safe? Yes. The response times to our city is safe? Yes. My mother-in-law, she's 91 years old. We had to call the paramedics out twice. They saved her life. It's a budget issue. That's one of the reasons why I'm running, is to bring fiscal responsibility back to this city. On the sides of our cars, it says a balanced city. I do not believe we're a balanced city right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 3. In 2018, there have been about 17 school shootings where someone was hurt or killed. On March 27th, the Torrance Unified School District and the Torrance Police Department published a joint press release whereby they noted that the city funds 4 school resource officers. Given that we have 34 campuses, from elementary to adult schools, do you believe 4 SROs is sufficient coverage for our educational community? More importantly, to what extent does the city carry its responsibility in protecting our students and community? How will you work with the school board to provide greater safety for our students? Mr. Riggs.
Public safety, excuse me a second. Yeah, public safety. I believe that we need to hire more school police. And once again, it's about our fiscal responsibilities in the city and spending. We're spending $1.4 million on the little pond that's been fenced up for, I believe, 2 years to put a pad over there. So yes, I'm for, I went to Gardena High School. I grew up in Gardena, and we had 2 full-time police officers there. I do not know the answer to that, but I do, with having 3 boys, right, I do agree with the public safety of our school system, 100%.
Mayor Fury?
Thank you. A letter was just sent out to all the school parents jointly from the school district and our police chief explaining all the methods that have happened in our partnership with the TUSD in keeping our children safe. Tomorrow morning's Daily Breeze has an excellent article explaining all of those issues to the public. Could we use more officers? Absolutely. We certainly could, but we have an adequate number working right now. Our school resource officers cover not just the high schools, but the feeder middle schools as well as the elementary schools. But the other things that we've done, as besides the school district putting cameras in, is we actually have a schematic of every one of the schools. They're putting new locks on all the schools to keep people out. And this is one of the highest priorities to us. There's an active shooter scenario training that all of our school employees have gone through and will continue to go through. It's a terrible world we live in, but we are addressing it as it comes forward.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer?
Thank you. You know, one of the first reactions is we need to hire more people. And I think before we look at that, we should look at technology first. Technology is making great advances, and it's amazing what we can do today. So my first reaction would be, let's look at what technology we have, which we've heard about the cameras, we've heard about monitoring the gates, they're locked. I was surprised when I came to North High this evening how it's changed since I was here. But I think looking at technology to do that first, then look at what we could do with the school resource officers. That's a great program, and that's been in place for a long time. I know that they interact with the students very well. They get a feeling for what's happening. The students trust talking to them, and so that's one of our first defenses for issues in the schools. As far as putting more officers here, I think if the schools ask for it, we can do that. But like I said before, let's look at technology before we look at hiring more people.
Thank you. Question number 4. Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, and Redondo Beach, along with the County Board of Supervisors, all have voted to ban hydrofluoric acid, a toxic chemical at the Torrance refinery. While the South Coast Air Quality Management District continues its review, do you think HF should be banned from Torrance? Why or why not? And we'll start with Mr. Riggs.
Back in my days at El Camino College, 1978, when I arrived there, I had a girlfriend that had a best friend that got killed where I think her car stalled on Van Ness, and it blew up. With my children that I have right now, when we had the last explosion, they were right in the line of the death cloud. If there is one individual in this city, and I was mayor, and that happened, I would feel there was blood on my hands. I'm against it, but it's a budget issue. $600,000 a month. I'm for the city. I'm running for the people. If they decide to get rid of it, we get rid of it. But it will impact our budget, and it will also impact of a piece of land that's going to sit there for 100 years with nothing to do. I'm all in favor of getting rid of it. Not one body should ever perish this earth from that place. Never put money before a human body.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer?
Thank you. I know I've met with the refinery and the TRAA and the workers at the refinery for hours and hours and hours. And we all share the same goal. We want a safe refinery. I lived in North Torrance, as I said, and I delivered newspapers around the refinery. I was keenly aware of when we had 3 mishaps at the refinery. I saw what happened when we had the explosion in 2015. I do think that the refinery wants to get rid of HF. There's a lot of pressure on them to do it. But I think at the same time, we have to look at be real and see how long it's going to take to do that. They're looking at new technology, and that takes time. To rebuild a refinery and start up a new process can take 4 to 5 years. Closing it down, retrofitting it to the new process, and then testing it takes years. So I want to make sure that before we switch from HF, we look at something that really is going to work, that's been tried, tested, and is true, and implemented at the Torrance refinery. And I think they're willing to do that too.
Thank you. Mayor Fury?
The safety of our community is the most important issue to me. I've spent more time on this issue than anybody else up here. I've met with residents, I've met with the refinery people, and I've met with the AQMD, the Chemical Safety Board, the Environmental Protection Agency. And I call upon the AQMD to do their job. They are the people with the scientists, with the knowledge, skill, and ability to rule whether MHF is safe or not. Not a council person, not a mayor. I'm a doctor of laws. I'm not a chemist. How could I opine on what is right there? AQMD banned, or actually had a Rule 1411 banning hydrofluoric acid in 1990. It was overturned on appeal. They never did anything about it for 25 years until the explosion brought it to mind in 2015. Now, all of a sudden, they're having hearing after hearing after hearing. I hear the same people on the same position. The AQMD has to rule, make a decision, and we should urge them to do that.
Thank you. Question number 5. The Torrance Unified School District is exploring to sell or lease the Hamilton Adult School site in North Torrance. Recently, the North Torrance Homeowner Association voted to support the efforts in protecting Hamilton Adult School. What is your position on the sale or lease of Hamilton Adult School site? If you don't support the sale or lease, how will you help keep this school in our community? If you support the sale or lease, who or what organization do you think should occupy this space? And we'll start with Mr. Brewer.
Thank you. You know, as I mentioned in my opening, I went to Hamilton. I went to Hamilton when it was brand new. I have a real soft spot for that school. I hate to see it go. I really don't support, closing it and developing that land. But I'll tell you, the TUSD, that's what they want to do. You heard earlier that the city does have some leverage when it comes to rezoning that property. It's not zoned for residential right now. It could be, and I think that's one of the things you can look at in talking to the TUSD, is if you're going to do this, you have to talk to us first. I think there's a position right now where the people that want the ball fields, you might be able to get them someplace else. And I know that the city of Torrance supports other ball fields, but I don't think they support anything for North Torrance. So I think we should look at a partnership with the Little League as well. We've done it for the other schools. We've done it for the other Little Leagues. It's time to do it for North Torrance.
Mr. Riggs?
Well, one of my first positions in coaching was at Hamilton, and we took a team all the way almost to the Little League World Series out of there. So I also have to have a soft spot there. Rezoning it someday, act of God, but absolutely not. I've invested in quite a bit of money in real estate, and I don't believe in rezoning it or selling it. I'd love to hang on to it, and there's talk of leasing it out. There's talk of what they might lease it out, but if we sell that, it's just going to go into a fund, and we're just going to spend it. So I'd say we hang on to that thing, lease it out, and don't throw the ball players out of there. And if they do, because I understand we have, as a city, we have nothing to do with TUSD, okay? They're two separate political entities. But I say if they do, we will make sure that they, if I'm mayor, that they have a ball field to go to better.
Thank you. Mayor Fury?
Nobody up here has spent as much time, probably nobody in this room has spent as much time on that field and the other fields in Torrance, because I've been an umpire for Little League Baseball for more than 30 years. I love Little League Baseball. Will they take those fields away from us? We're going through a process right now. The school district has the process of the 7-Eleven to declare whether it's surplus or not. We have to get to that step first. I will tell you, though, that when Greenwood School came through that process, the city went in and grabbed it because of the great opportunity to get playing fields and park area for the city. I can't tell you how I would vote on the matter right now, because that would preclude me from being involved in the voting on it, when and if it would come before us. But I would tell you that anytime we can increase our parklands in Torrance, I'm certainly for that. And anything we can do to support our Little Leagues, I'm also for that. So I'll leave you to figure out where my answer would be.
Thank you. Question number 6. Last year, the city opposed Senate Bill 54, which would prohibit local law enforcement agencies to investigate, interrogate, detain, detect, or arrest persons for immigration enforcement purposes. What is your position on this bill? We're going to start with Mayor Fury.
Thank you. I'm the one who wrote the letter. We get more than 2,000 bills presented by our Assembly and our Senate every year, and our staff takes a position on them if they impact us in local control, our finances, or safety. Our staff determined that it did impact safety and finances, so we opposed it. You know, folks, this is a hotbed issue that I think does not belong in local government. This partisan divide has dropped down from the federal level to the state level to our city. It's not healthy where we have people who are just looking whether you're red or blue. You know, potholes, I don't care if, you know, we fill them with any color asphalt. You know, this is local government. We are not involved in all those big issues that divide everybody. So I say we just stay out of this issue. We've voiced our opinion and let, you know, it's not an option in Torrance. It really doesn't come up that often.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer?
One of the things I'd like to do is if we have a problem with this, you know, let's talk to the police first. Is it really an issue? Do we see this often or not very often? You know, if it's not something that we're dealing with every single day or a big part of the day for our police force, I think we should, you know, let it stay the way it is. I do believe that the federal law supersedes California law. I do believe that we should be following that first. And you know, I'm not in favor of necessarily going out and saying that we should take a stand against sanctuary cities like they have in Orange County, because it takes time, it takes staff time, it's expensive. But I can tell you, when it comes down to it, federal law comes first. If there's an issue with that, I think that's how we should deal with it in Torrance. If it comes down to it, I think eventually the courts are going to decide for us what's going to happen with the sanctuary law in the state of California.
Thank you. Mr. Riggs?
Yeah, you know, I'm not going to give the politically correct answer also right now, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stand on my 4 pillars: leadership, accountability, transparency, and trust. You know, I believe that we need to stay out of it and deal with local businesses, but I'm going to put it on the line right now. I would join Orange County and oppose the sanctuary city. I'm going to put that right on the record right now. I'd like to join Orange County if I was mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, question number 7. According to the March 3rd Daily Breeze article, rents have climbed 4.3% in the past year, and the average price for a South Bay home is $1 million. Employers are facing difficulty hiring mechanics, industrial engineers, and other middle wage workers. Are we losing our industrial footprint, one of our key components of our balanced vision for the city? If yes, how do we make Torrance more affordable to maintain this balance? For example, should we explore high-density housing? And we'll start with Mr. Riggs.
No high density, absolutely not. I'm against Butcher Hill. Once again, I'm going to go back to my grandmother working for McDonnell Douglas and the problem we had with the last downfall and crisis. We are heavily, our car dealerships, the mall. I don't know how many people, there's just an article that came out in the Daily Breeze about the mall, that it's got good tax revenue right now, but it's on their projected sales tax is going to go down. Once again, like I discussed earlier, look at, the bottom line is right now is we got the millennials coming up. They're about 50% of our voting power and about 50% of our revenue. We have to tailor our next businesses to them of technology, software, .coms, and we got to start soon, because we hit a next downfall and we see a ghost town on Hawthorne and PCH, we're in trouble.
Thank you. Mayor Fury.
We have a housing crisis, folks. Let's face it. I met with a business in our community that has 244 employees. Average salary is $169,000 a year. Average salary, $169,000. They have 60% of their employees live within 15 miles of their headquarters in Torrance. That's 40% live outside 15 miles. Some of them, Moreno Valley or Antelope Valley, who travel here to work. That's a problem. Toyota did leave, and they left because of the housing. It was an unsaid thing, but their middle managers who are making better than $150K a year could not afford a house in Torrance. And we're lucky, we're here. But we have to find some way to do it. Ironically, we have approved less than 100 new houses in Torrance in the last 4 years that I've been in office. Ironically, single-family residents have taken advantage of that loophole in the law to put an adjacent house on your property, and they put 250 of those units.
Okay. Mr. Brewer.
I'm on a committee at UCLA where we're traveling around the state of California listening to the issues that every campus has. The number one issue at every single campus in the UC system is affordable housing. We do have a crisis. I know my daughter finished law school and she said, you know, Dad, I can make the same amount of money in Virginia as I can make in California, and the houses in Virginia cost $125,000. So where do you think she is? She can't afford it here, and I know that. Now, I talked about the general plan and looking at ways we can do things differently in the city of Torrance. The general plan gives us an opportunity where we can look at the properties we have and maybe find a new use for some of those properties. Maybe some of the warehouses that we have, we may not need those anymore. There may be places to put housing, but I seriously doubt they're going to be able to put enough housing in to be able to accommodate everybody that wants to come here. You know, I think one of the first steps is maybe looking at putting in units that have smaller size apartments or smaller size units to make it more affordable.
Thank you. Question number 8. Do we have an infrastructure problem in the city? Traffic congestion, potholes, public transportation? If yes, what is your plan to address these concerns? And we'll start with Mayor Fury.
Yes, we do. And it started during the recession when we had to cut our budget. Every year it seemed we were cutting 10% of the budget, and the easiest way to do that was cutting back on the infrastructure. We didn't lay off or furlough any of our employees because people wanted those services. Have we caught up? Not 100% yet, but we're doing an awful lot. We've covered much more residential areas with the slurry seals than we did prior. We've actually, let me give you a little heads up where we're going, because 182nd Street came up before the council back in 2013. We didn't have enough votes for that, so it'll be coming up in the next budget. And you know, maybe in 2021 we'll be able to do 182nd Street. Right now, Crenshaw Boulevard from 182nd Street to the north end is in the planning stages. So next year, we're going to fully finish that. We've done the water already. 182nd Street, we're doing the water lines over there. So we're addressing them as they come forward.
Thank you. Mr. Riggs?
Yes, we do have a problem. That's why I'm running. Budget, budget, budget. Fiscal spending. I had a tree out in front, one of the pepper trees, if anybody has a pepper tree. Just ate up my plumbing. They came out, they shaved the sidewalk, they put some tar over the top of it, and they slurried the top of it, and 6 months later, it needed fixing again. The tree was still there. So I know we can't just chop trees down, but it's a Band-Aid. And we're band-aiding things, and if we think we got infrastructure problems now, wait until our pipes start busting everywhere and everything. You know, I went to a budget meeting a while ago and they talked about a reserve. Well, I've been a homeowner association president in some places, and there's reserves. I don't think, and Mr. Fury would know better than I would, if we have a reserve for this city. I was told we don't, 1 month. So I would plan to have at least 6 months reserve.
Thank you. Mr. Fury?
When I was on the city council in 2013, we passed a capital budget plan that goes through 2018. A lot of the construction you're seeing today came from that 2013 capital budget plan. Now, one of the things that we have in the County of Los Angeles is Measure R. Measure R was a sales tax increase that we passed, and it passes along money to cities to fix their roads. I was on the Measure R Oversight Committee when I was on the City Council. I can tell you that Torrance does not get back as much money as they put into Measure R. As your mayor, I'd lobby harder to get the funds to coming back to the City of Torrance. We're the third largest sales tax generating city in the county, and we're not getting anywhere near that much money back from Measure R, and I'd be surprised if even Measure H is giving us back the same amount of money. So that's one of the things I would do. You know, when you delay the infrastructure, it gets worse. You could always tell the city of Torrance when you drove into it because we had smooth roads and it looked really nice. I'd like to see that again, and I think the 2013 budget that we passed will get us there.
Thank you. Number 9. Amazon and online consuming is on the rise, which may negatively impact some of our local businesses, including our Del Amo Mall. What is your economic plan to sustain and attract businesses to Torrance? Mr. Brewer.
One of the things that's ironic is you see Amazon supposedly taking all these things away from us, but if you go over to Kohl's, there's an Amazon department in Kohl's. So I think even Amazon realizes eventually people like the malls. They want to go to the malls. try on the clothes, maybe buy the clothes. You know, one of the things we're very fortunate to have is the mall. And they're evolving as we speak. The mall came in with a lot of different stores. They had plans for restaurants. They're looking to change it to maybe an entertainment venue where you see restaurants being the focus. You see Dave & Buster's coming in. We need to have that sales tax coming in as well. I think, you know, truthfully, the city of Torrance is a safe city. You look at that combined with the infrastructure that we have, I think there's every reason to be here. Every person that lives in the South Bay has to drive through Torrance at one time. I think it's one of the strong selling points that we have. And as your mayor, working with our economic development department, I would pass that along to all the prospective businesses.
Thank you. Mr. Riggs.
Yeah, I keep hearing the stuff of what we're doing. We're the third largest revenue in the county. Where's the money going? We have the businesses here. You know, it leads back into leadership, accountability, transparency, and trust. What are we doing with the money? I've already explained moving forward with, you know, I haven't been to the mall probably in 3 or 4 years. I've taken a poll about how many people go to the mall. Yeah, we could be in trouble in the near future. This is not about going outside of the country to go get businesses to come here. We have them here. So technology, software, .coms, and bring over, my son is he belongs to an organization in Redondo Beach, and they're looking to come to the city of Torrance because there's more land here. And once again, I believe the revenue would come from senior citizen housing here, and I'd like to do some kind of Section 8 also, how we do for housing, for senior citizen to get it here.
Thank you. Mayor Fury?
I suggest everybody come to our budget meetings in May 8th and May 15th. You'll find out where the revenue comes from and how we're spending the revenue. And you'll have your opportunity to tell us if you don't like where we're spending the revenue. That's the operating budget that we have. We are very fortunate that Simon & Company purchased a mall because they are a progressive mall owner. Our mall now will be the third largest in America. The third largest in America. We are the largest west of the Mississippi. It is a great sales tax revenue producer. And I go there quite often and it's busy. There's more businesses coming there. Some closed. There's 51 new ones coming in. Dave & Buster's will be opening real soon. Marshall's will be opening real soon. You know, it's an endless stream of what is happening at Del Amo Fashion Center. But we also have the car dealerships on the boulevard and on Pacific Coast Highway. They generate a lot of funds as well. And does anybody here recognize that Pacific Coast Highway dealers are lessees of the city of Torrance?
Thank you. Okay, question number 10. What do you feel are the top issues in the city not mentioned in this forum, and why? Mayor Fury.
Well, it's hard to say what's not mentioned in the forum because I think our major issues are safety at the refinery. The second one is the coyotes. We have to address that situation. Somehow somebody's going to understand why we clean the streets on a weekly basis, and believe us, not a money grab. But I think the biggest problem is the safety at the schools. We have to really protect and safeguard our children. They are our most important product. But overarching all of that is one thing I mentioned before, and that's the partisan divide. We have to get over this, folks. We have to get over this. We all live together, we work together. As a mayor, I can't just ban assault weapons. I can't have a ban on a woman's rights to bear children or not. These are not things for the city. We're here to make sure the infrastructure is working, make sure there's adequate housing, make sure there's good jobs, make sure we have good revenue. That's what we do.
Thank you. Mr. Riggs?
Refinery. I know the mayor doesn't have a lot to do with it, just like he doesn't have a lot to do with the TUSD and bringing our teachers to a contract. Two different political affairs here. But refinery, making it a safe place. I got a team of people that's walking around, and I've passed out probably over 7,000 little door hangers, and I hope some of you guys are getting some of these. So the refinery, people want a safe community. So it's public safety. We have a great fire department and a great Torrance Police Department. Pension. If we don't watch our pension problem, we are not competitive right now with going and getting police officers and firemen here right now. I want to bring this city. I've had a couple issues where I have tried to bring some businesses here, and we are not the most business-friendly city out there to attract businesses.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer?
You know, safety is always a top issue for all of us. We moved here for a reason. You probably moved here for the schools first, and because Torrance was safe for the second reason. So safety is the top issue. It was when I was on the city council, and it will continue to be when I'm your mayor. But I think one of the other things I want to look at is we keep talking about the future of Torrance. And we all moved here for a reason. We like the way it feels. We don't want to see drastic changes in our city. So if we're going to develop a plan for the city, I want to make sure that the charm that you moved here for is still there. You know, there are places we can look at with the general plan where we may need to build more housing, because it's true. There's an affordability crisis here, but we're not going to solve it just in Torrance. It's this California-wide issue. We can contribute to it, but we're not going to solve that problem. The other issue is the pensions are taking a bigger and bigger part of our budget. And I'd like to see us look at new pension options for new hires in the city of Torrance, possibly going to a 401k, because we need to save some money. Otherwise, it's going to take up a bigger part of our budget.
Thank you. And our last question for the evening. How have you connected with the citizens of North Torrance community? And if elected, how will you continue to actively engage with our community? And we'll start with Mr. Brewer.
You know, I grew up here, and I know some of the issues that are here. They were there when I was in school. They're still here now. I hear it over and over when I'm walking the precincts that there's a feeling that maybe the North Torrance is disconnected from the rest of the city. You know, I hear it, so if people feel that way, it may be true. When I was on the city council, I looked at all the entire city, not just one part of it. We treated them all the same, and I thought that was fair. We aren't elected by districts in the city of Torrance, and unfortunately, you actually have 7 people working for you when we don't have districts. If you have districts, you'll have 1 person working for you, and they'll get elected every 4 years. So I'm concerned about that. I think we need to keep our at-large, and I would encourage the city to fight that lawsuit. Huntington Beach did, and they backed off. Santa Monica's looking to do the same thing, so I'd like to see that happen as well. As far as North Torrance, I can tell you, walking the precincts, it's nice to hear what you're talking about. It's Hamilton more than anything else.
Thank you. Mayor Fury.
I've lived here 30 years, and I'm going to live here 30 more years if everything goes well. I've been a member of this homeowners association. Like I said earlier, I served as the president for 8 years. I'm really happy that this homeowners association is the best homeowners association in the city, bar none, end of discussion. They have bylaws, they have meetings, they have a newsletter, they have elections, just like a homeowners association should, and they have one of the greatest forums ever. To your credit. And I come back here every year. I do a state of the city on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce every year. And that people have to pay for that. But I come into this room and I turn that 1 hour state of the city into a 2.5 hour discussion with people from North Torrance. And I would encourage you to come every year, because North Torrance Homeowners Association is the best way to get information out and get information in. And I appreciate the work that we do here.
Thank you. Mr. Riggs.
You know, I'm running because it's not about the politics, it's about the people. I've just walked here just recently, and I think we hit last week in about 700 homes. And, you know, I didn't hear any complaints about that you're separated from the rest of the city. But I came over here because I heard that. And I really wanted to sit here and hear the complaints. And the complaints were the refinery. The complaints was Hamilton. But I've actually coached in this gym probably 100 times. I knew the coach that was here for years, and I also coached at Hamilton, so I'm connected to North Torrance. And, you know, like I said, I've walked here to hear your complaints and hear your wants and your needs, and I will continue to do so, because my platform is really about the people and not politics.
Thank you very much. That concludes all of our questions. We will now go into closing statements, and we're going to start with Mr. Riggs. You all have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. I thought it was a minute, so I prepared for that, and but it's okay. I grew up in Gardena, and it was a connected city here. Graduated in 1977 at Gardena High School, and we were having some issues back at Gardena High. So I didn't go to school for about 2 weeks until my mother got a phone call, and I was trying to get over here to North High School because this is where all my friends were going. Went to El Camino College after that. Didn't have a direction, and El Camino College actually saved my bacon and gave me direction. I became the ski club president there and got involved. Moved to Maui, Hawaii for 3 years, came back to Mammoth, became a ski instructor. What I'm going to close in this is my minute here, and I got 1 minute and 11 seconds. Together, starting tonight, let us finish the work that needs to be done and usher in a new change in the city of Torrance. As I mentioned before, I am a leader, and I'm not a career politician. If you're here tonight, it means you want answers. You're here tonight on your own time because you care. You want to make sure I care about Torrance as much as you do. Without a doubt, I can tell you I do. I am qualified because I have passion, and I understand the importance of a safe and secure community. It is my goal to keep Torrance Police and Fire Departments second to none. Currently, they are rated 1A and top 25 in the nation. The Torrance School District is nationally recognized as one of the best. We must focus on our efforts on our pensions and the ongoing contract negotiations to provide a fair solution for our teachers and school district. Harry Truman once said, "It is amazing what you could accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit." I do ask for your confidence, and I ask for and vote so we can deliver change to this great city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer?
Thank you. You know, it's so nice to see such a large turnout here tonight. This is very impressive, and most of the forums we've been to have been very well attended as well. It shows you guys really do care. When I got on the city council in 2006, one of the first things we did was outreach council meetings at every high school. I'd like to see that come back because when we came to North High, it was one of the largest turnouts that we had. So I would like to see that come back. You know, I've seen Torrance grow into the city that it is today. This gives me a unique perspective because I understand the issues that the city has faced and what work to resolve them. Throughout my city involvement, I've demonstrated the honest and effective leadership skills that will be critical in helping guide the city council and move our city forward. I'm running for mayor because so many in our community are unhappy with our current leadership. If no change is made, I'm concerned that current political contributions will influence more decisions by the city council. I'm not the only one that's unhappy with the leadership in our city. I have the endorsements of half of our city council: Heidi Ashcraft, Mike Griffiths, and Milton Herring. They want new leadership as well. I also have the endorsements of former mayors Frank Scotto and Ken Miller, and former council members Bill Sullivan and Paul Nawatka. With my integrity, leadership style, and experience, I'm well equipped to be your next mayor, committed to providing leadership, respect, and service you deserve. Let's restore integrity and respect to Torrance. Please vote for me on June 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Fury?
Thank you to the North Torrance Homeowners Association for organizing and hosting this great forum. I'm very proud to be a longtime member of this organization. As your mayor, I've built meaningful relationships with our elected leaders in Washington, Sacramento, county government, and neighboring communities. That's why they and countless Torrance residents and businesses endorse and support my re-election campaign. I'm proud to be endorsed and supported by BizFed, an organization that represents almost 300,000 businesses in our county and found us to be the most business-friendly city in the county of Los Angeles just 2 years ago. I'm also proud to be endorsed and supported by the CSEA, the California School Employees Association 845, an organization that represents classified employees of the Torrance Unified School District. And I'm most proud that the men and women who keep us safe 24/7, the Torrance Police Officers Association, have chosen to endorse my re-election. It's great to have the support of so many neighbors, friends, elected officials, and organizations, but to address all the issues we will face in the future, I need your patience, understanding, and support. As you can see, one candidate has started a mudslinging campaign in this election, as he did last time. I don't believe that to be the Torrance way. Torrance is better than that. Folks, I have never voted for a contract or an issue based on a campaign contribution. Campaign contributions are an evil necessity of running for office. As the elected mayor of this city, I met a lot of people, and those people have chosen to support my election. Addressing the issues, noting my accomplishments, and projecting my vision is the way I will campaign. When he goes low, I'll just go higher. Together, we can keep Torrance moving in the right direction. Please re-elect me on June 5th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates, for coming this evening, and I want to thank you all and wish you good luck. And I want to thank everyone for joining this evening. Please have a good night and a safe drive home.
Thank you.